On October 12, 2024, one of the biggest leaks in gaming history occurred, as Game Freak, creator of Pokémon servers, were hacked, and over 1 terabyte of information has been slowly leaking onto the internet in what is now being dubbed the Terra Leak. Among the files that have been released so far, we've had prototype versions of Pokemon's 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generations, with tons of beta Pokemon designs never seen before, and certain bits of lore that should have remained never seen. But among all these Pokemon leaks and news, I bet a lot of you have been wondering what is going on with Pokémon Legends EA, and why we haven't seen any leaks regarding the next upcoming Pokemon game. So today I wanted to do a little recap, summarizing the biggest leaks so far, and maybe even answer why we haven't seen as much news regarding these future projects. So first, let's have a look at a summary of every leak related to future Pokemon projects so far. And I'll dive a little bit deeper into each bullet point as well as where the original source came from. First, we have Pokémon Legends EA, which has had 3 major revelations so far, the first being that it was originally planned to release in 2024. That didn't come as too huge of a surprise to me, since Game Freak have released a Pokemon game almost every single year for the last 10 years, so if they wanted to continue that release schedule, there should have been a new main title this year. But of course, I'm not against them delaying Legends EA if they're working on polishing it, making sure it's as good as possible so they avoid a situation like what happened with Scarlet and Violet. But we'll soon find out that might not exactly be why they delayed it. Next, we learned that Pokemon Legends EA will feature Mega Zygarde and Mega Zeraora. And this is perhaps the biggest revelation so far regarding Legends EA specifically, because up till now we had no idea which Mega Evolutions are coming back or even which new ones they're creating. Now, this confirmation actually comes from a leaked conversation between Game Freak and the Pokemon anime team. All of these are Game Freak employees, by the way. You might recognize some of their names, but it starts off with this guy saying he's slightly concerned since Zygarde appears in some places. I believe referring to the Pokemon Horizons anime, where we've actually already seen a shiny Zygarde, and I believe also the latest intro for Pokemon Horizons features the 100% form of Zygarde. So clearly they're building up, Zygarde is slowly evolving in the anime, and it seems it's all leading to the first appearance of Mega Zygarde. Omori then says maybe it's better to time the appearance of Mega Zygarde to fit with the events, and Sugimori agrees that would be ideal. And finally, Sugimori clarifies that ideally they should save Zygarde for later in the story, making sure the introduction aligns with timing and consistency. Because in the past we have seen the anime spoil things that are coming in future games. Now it's this other line that I believe comes from a completely different conversation that confirms Mega Zeraora, as the anime staff may not know, but on our end we are creating Mega Zeraora, so if Zeraora is included, we'd want them to use it. Synergy and timing is essential. So I guess we don't know if Zeraora is coming in the Horizons anime, and honestly, I don't really watch the anime all that much, so I don't know if there's been a Zeraora in it already. But he's saying Mega Zeraora is 100% coming in Legends EA, so they would want it to appear in the anime as well to kind of promote the game. There's actually a more thorough version of this same conversation posted by Centro Leaks, and of course all of this is translated from Japanese, so the words might not exactly match one-to-one, but you can see the basic gist of it is the same, that they want to introduce Mega Zygarde at the same time in the games in the anime. But this one actually contains the rest of the conversation, where another very interesting bit of information comes up. Since we've removed the island hopping aspect, there's no more worry about cannibalization, but I'm still worried about the school setting disappearing completely. The synergy with Titan is lacking. I don't understand why we're skipping Titan and instead heading into a Gaia-like direction. Making it alongside Gaia risks creating a similar atmosphere. If you're reading this for the first time, it might come off as some kind of secret CIA code words, and to be fair, they kind of are. Because if you don't know, every Pokemon game has a code name that the developers use to refer to it before release. Here we have some code names from the last few generations of Pokemon. You can see Scarlet and Violet were nicknamed Titan, and if you've been following along with like Riddler, Coup, and stuff like that, you're likely familiar with these code names. But in case you're lost where I'm going with this, well, going back to the conversation, you can see they're instead heading into a Gaia-like direction, and there's actually 2 mentions of Gaia here. Which brings us back to the summary, where we have Pokemon Gaia, aka the codename for Gen 10. I can't be the only one that just thinks of Ben 10, right? So let's dive a bit more into this codename, Gaia. Because even though, like we saw clearly, the Pokemon code names don't always have too much correlation to the actual game, at least in Scarlet and Violet, the code name Titan did end up referring to a mechanic within it, which were the Titan Pokemon. But as for the nickname Gaia, it's been getting a lot of people speculating that Gen 10 could possibly be based on Greece, because Gaia is actually a Greek word that literally translates to Earth, but also refers to the Greek goddess of Earth. Now, our favorite Riddler actually dropped a new hint amidst all this chaos with the Terra leak, and according to Google Translate, it's Omori saying that he's thinking of making an island-themed game after Titan, meaning Scarlet and Violet. But yeah, that's where we get this bullet point here, that the main theme of Gen 10 will be island exploring in an archipelago, which does seem to match up with Greece in the real world, having a bunch of little islands around it. And honestly, as a huge fan of Percy Jackson and just Greek mythology growing up, I feel like a Greece-based region would be awesome to explore. You could do so much with the lore of the Greek gods when it comes to the legendary Pokemon, plus all the locations from Greece's history that you could potentially incorporate into the region. Personally though, I'm not sure that I buy it yet, just because literally none of the other Pokemon game codenames have ever referred to the region itself. So instead, I believe the term Gaia could refer to the massive scope of this game. Not that we're going to be exploring an entire planet, but as we know, Pokemon has been leaning more and more into the open world, and I think it's most likely that Gen 10 will continue to further develop the idea of open world Pokemon. So even though this island hopping archipelago adventure reminds me of Alola, the scale of Pokemon Gaia will be so much bigger than I think what any of us can imagine right now. Anyway, I skipped over one of the bullet points here. We have two versions, K and N. Obviously, the games are not just going to be called Pokemon K and Pokemon N, but rather that their Japanese names will start with the letters K and N. Now, back under this Riddler coup hint, there's a little theory about those names. Pokemon K and Pokemon N referring to Kaze, which means wind, and Nami, which means wave, which would definitely fit with the archipelago island hopping theme. You know, winds and waves are all around when exploring an ocean. Now, the final bit of news regarding Pokemon Gaia is that supposedly it's in development for Switch 2, but there will be a version for Switch 1 also available, or at least being tested. And I skipped over, but yeah, Legends EA is of course coming for the current Switch. We already knew that from the trailer, but that doesn't mean that there won't be enhancements for the Switch 2, or I guess if you play Legends EA on Switch 2, maybe it'll perform slightly better. Hopefully it performs better. I remember seeing a rumor that supposedly Gen 10 will be an Unreal Engine. I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but if true, could be huge in terms of Pokemon graphics getting a major update. But besides that, we haven't gotten any other news about Legends EA or Gen 10, which might surprise some of you considering this Terra leak is literally over a terabyte of information. Surely they have something regarding these new games, right? Well, it turns out they have the entire source code of not only Gen 10, but also Ikaku, which is the code name for Pokemon Legends ZA, just in case you're not familiar. I'm definitely not an expert on game development, but I believe if you have the source code, you can pretty much make a build of that current version of the game. So there's a very real possibility right now that a working ROM of the beta version of ZA is going to release before we've gotten to see any gameplay from any official trailers. And that just blows my mind. Like, I can't believe after months of no Pokemon news, we might just be getting the entire game leaked. But I'm like almost scared to see a beta version of ZA before any official trailers come out. I feel like it would give the game a bad image because obviously it's not completely finished. But then again, it seems the entirety of ZA might already be complete, or at least very close to finished. Because we see here another post from the leaker that currently Legends ZA is in late beta with the main storyline done and very few placeholder art in the very last mission of the main story. They're also fairly complete with the English translation, enough of it for it to be played, and around 50% of side quests are complete, but machine translated with placeholder text. So as of this leak from literally a couple days ago, Pokemon Legends ZA is, I would say, about 90% complete, which makes a lot of sense if the game was originally meant to release in 2024. But that still makes me wonder when it's gonna come out in 2025 now, or if it'll even come out at all, because... But what do you guys think of all these leaks so far? Does this get you excited for Gen 10 having another island hopping adventure game? Or are you more excited for Legends EA? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more.